Governor Generals of Bengal. So total there were 8 Governor Generals of Bengal. And to begin with, Warren Hastings, he ruled 1773 to 1785. Then we had Lord Cornwallis, 1786 to 1793. Sir John Shore from 1793 to 1798. Lord Wellesley, 1798 to 1805. Sir George Barlow from 1805 to 1807. Lord Minto I from 1807 to 1813. Lord Hastings from 1813 to 1823. And Lord Amherst from 1823 to 1828. Now, please, on your screen, yes, Governor Generals of Bengal. There were 8 Governor Generals of Bengal. I will read for you once again, and they were Warren Hastings from 1773 to 1785, Lord Cornwallis from 1786 to 1793, Sir John Shore from 1793 to 1798, Lord Wellesley from 1798 to 1805, Sir George Barlow from 1805 to 1807, Lord Minto I from 1807 to 1813, Lord Hastings from 1813 to 1823, and Lord Amherst from 1823 to 1828. Now we will study elaborately on Warren Hastings. So Warren Hastings, he took charge on 20th October 1773 to 8th February 1785. The point to be noted here is Warren Hastings served firstly as the Governor of Bengal from 1772 to 1773, and then as Governor General from 1773 to 1785 to be Governor General of Bengal, and then as Governor General of Bengal from 1773 to 1785. Okay. Warren Hastings, so I have repeated this one. Once again, Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of Bengal under the British East India Company, serving from 1773 to 1785. His tenure was marked by significant administrative, legal, and diplomatic reforms aimed at improving British governance in India. Key events during this period include the Regulating Act of 1773, the First Anglo-Maratha War, and the Second Anglo-Mysore War. Now, major reforms and events under Warren Hastings. The establishment of appellate courts and lower grade courts in India can be traced back to the reforms initiated by Warren Hastings in the late 18th century, specifically the Shodor Diwani Adalat. It says Shodor Diwani Adalat, that is appellate court, was established in 1772 to hear appeals from the Diwani Adalat, that is lower courts. Then we have creation of collector post, district collector, magistrate. This collector post was created during the time of Warren Hastings in the year 1772. Third point, experimentation on land settlements, that is also 1772. End to the dual system of administration, that is also in the year 1772. We will study these things at length. Okay, and we'll also provide the study materials to you in School of Science. Now, Regulating Act 1773. Sixth point, moved treasury from Murshidabad to Calcutta in the year 1773. The First Rohilla War, 1773 to 1774. 8th point, formation of Supreme Council of Bengal, 1774. and the Supreme Court at Calcutta in the year 1774. Very, very important they are. And under him, the Dastak system was abolished in the year 1775, which was introduced by Robert Clive. The Dastak system refers to a trade permit issued by the East India Company officials exempting traders from customs or transit duties, which was a privilege granted by the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Shah. 11th point, formed Amini Commission, 1776. 12th point is James Augustus Hickey's Bengal Gazette. First Indian newspaper published in India is Bengal Gazette. Is the first newspaper by James Augustus Hickey in the year 1780. Founded Calcutta Madrasa or Alia University in 1780. 14th point, the first Anglo-Maratha War in 1775 to 82 and the Treaty of Salbai in 1782. And second Mysore War was fought during his tenure, was from 1780 to 84. But the point to be noted, the first Anglo-Mysore War took place in 1767. The first Anglo-Mysore War fought between 1767 and 1769 was a conflict between the Kingdom of Mysore, led by Hyder Ali, and the British East India Company. The war ended with the Treaty of Madras. Now, 16th point is Pitt's India Act 1784. The Pitt's India Act of 1784, also known as the East India Company Act 1784, was a British Parliament Act that aimed to address the shortcomings of the Regulating Act of 1773 by establishing a dual system of control over India, with the British government overseeing the East India Company's political and administrative affairs, while the company retained control of its commercial activities. The Pitt's India Act of 1784 is named after William Pitt the Younger, who was the British Prime Minister at the time the Act was passed. Now, two important things, 17th and 18th. Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1784, and the first English translation of Bhagavad Gita in the year 1785. The first one is Asiatic Society of Bengal, is a scholarly society and research center in Kolkata that studies Asian arts, sciences, and literature. It was founded in 1784 by Sir William Jones. So, Asiatic Society of Bengal was founded by Sir William Jones in the year 1784. And who was Sir William Jones? He was a British Orientalist and jurist. First English translation of Bhagavad Gita in the year 1785. The first English translation of the Bhagavad Gita was done by Charles Wilkins in 1785. His translation was titled Bhagavad Gita or Dialogues of Krishna and Arjuna. Now, here one thing to be noted. The first Governor General of Bengal, Warren Hastings, was prosecuted for impeachment as a consequence of his involvement in the first Rohilla War, 1773 to 1774. Now, here is the point. The first Rohilla War was fought in 1773 to 1774, was a campaign led by Shuja-ud-Dowla, Nawab of Awadh, against the Rohillas Afghans in Rohilkhand, northern India. The Nawab was backed by the British East India Company, and the Rohillas were led by Hafiz Rahmat Ali Khan. The Rohillas were defeated, leading to the establishment of Shuja-ud-Dowla's authority in the region. Now, before Lord Cornwallis became the Governor General of Bengal, there was a short tenure of John Macpherson, first Baronet, acting 8 February 1785 to 12 September 1786. But we'll study about Lord Cornwallis and his reforms and events under him. Now, Lord Cornwallis, he took the charge as Governor General of Bengal on 12th September 1786, and he continued up to 28th October 1793. While Lord Cornwallis was indeed a Governor General of Bengal, he was not the second, but rather the third Governor General, serving from 1786 to 1793 after Warren Hastings. Now, what were the major reforms and events under Lord Cornwallis? First one is establishment of appellate courts and lower grade courts. Lord Cornwallis established a hierarchical judicial system, including appellate courts, circuit courts, and lower grade courts, Diwani Adalats, and Fauzdari Adalats, separating revenue collection and judicial functions and implementing the Cornwallis Code. Second point is establishment of Sanskrit College in the year 1791. Establishment of Sanskrit College in the year 1791. In 1791, Lord Cornwallis, the Governor General, sanctioned the establishment of a Sanskrit College in Banaras, now Varanasi, proposed by Jonathan Duncan, resident of East India Company, to promote study of Sanskrit and traditional Indian learning. Now, Third Mysore War, 1790 to 92, and Treaty of Serigapattam in the year 1792. The Third Anglo-Mysore War, 1790 to 1792, was a conflict in South India between the Kingdom of Mysore and the British East India Company. The Kingdom of Travancore, the Maratha Confederacy, and the Nizam of Hyderabad. It was the third of 4 Anglo-Mysore wars. Now the Treaty of Serigapattam, it was signed on 18th March 1792 that ended the Third Anglo-Mysore War, with Tipu Sultan, the ruler of Mysore, ceding significant territory and paying a large indemnity to the British East India Company and its allies, the Nizam of Hyderabad and the Maratha Empire. Now, Cornwallis Code of 1793. The Cornwallis Code, enacted in 1793 by Lord Cornwallis, was a set of regulations that established the administrative framework in British India, particularly in Bengal, focusing on revenue, judicial, and commercial aspects, and establishing a permanent settlement. Now, very often it is asked in the examination, what do you mean by permanent settlement of Bengal that took place in the year 1793? Now, please try to understand the permanent settlement was known as the Permanent Settlement of Bengal, was an agreement between the East India Company and landlords of Bengal to fix revenues to be raised from land that had far-reaching consequences for both agricultural methods and productivity in the entire British Empire and the political realities of the Indian countryside. It was concluded in 1793 by the company administration headed by Charles Earl Cornwallis. It formed one part of a larger body of legislation known as Cornwallis Code. The Cornwallis Code of 1793 divided the East India Company's service personnel into 3 branches. They were revenue, judicial, and commercial. Revenues were collected by zamindars, native Indians who were treated as landowners. So, zamindari system in Bengal started with permanent settlement. This division created an Indian landed class that supported British authority. Now, introduction of civil services in India 1793. It was under Lord Cornwallis. So, Lord Cornwallis introduced the civil service system in India in year 1793. He established a structured, merit-based bureaucracy to improve governance and reduce corruption within the British India administration. His reforms laid the groundwork for what later became the Indian Civil Service. So, Indian Civil Service was mainly started by Lord Cornwallis in the year 1793. Right. Now, sir, let us see about Sir John Shore. He was the Governor General of Bengal from 28 October 1793 to 18 March 1798, almost 5 years. Now, major reforms and events under Sir John Shore. First is Charter Act of 1793. Second one, policy of non-intervention 1793 to 1798. Non-interventionism or non-intervention is commonly understood as a foreign policy of political or military non-involvement in foreign relations or in other countries' internal affairs. This is based on the grounds that a state should not interfere in the internal politics of another state, as well as the principles of state sovereignty and self-determination. A similar phrase is strategic independence. Okay. Now, Second Rohilla War 1794 took place when Sir John Shore was the Governor General of Bengal. The Second Rohilla War was a conflict between the Kingdom of Awadh, and where is this Kingdom of Awadh? It was there in the northeastern portion of Uttar Pradesh and East India Company, and the Rohillas of Rampur state. And where is this Rampur state at present? It is the northwestern part of Uttar Pradesh, and the Rohilla War took place in the year 1794. Now, Battle of Kharda. Battle of Kharda took place in the year 1795. The Battle of Kharda, Chipattan, is a township in the state of Maharashtra, also called the Battle of Khurra, took place in the year 1795 between Nizam of Hyderabad and the Maratha Confederacy, in which the Nizam was defeated. So, Battle of Kharda was fought in the year 1795. Then we study about Lord Wellesley, who became the Governor General of Bengal on 18th May 1798, and he was there up to 30th July 1805. Now, major reforms and events under Lord Wellesley. First one is introduction of subsidiary alliance system in the year 1798. Now, one would like to know what is the subsidiary alliance. The subsidiary alliance system was introduced by Lord Wellesley in 1798. It was a strategic policy used by the British East India Company to expand its influence and control over Indian princely states. The subsidiary alliance system was a strategic tool used by the British East India Company to expand its influence and control over Indian princely states, effectively eroding their sovereignty. Under this system, the company offered protection to these states. And what are the important points under the subsidiary alliance system? First one is military protection. The British East India Company offered to defend the allied state against external threats and internal rebellions. B. Stationing of British troops. The princely state had to allow a British subsidiary force army to be stationed in its territory. And financial obligations in lieu of this, the state was required to bear the cost of maintaining these British troops. Now the second point is the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War and the Treaty of Bazar in the year 1799. The Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, fought in 1798 to 1799, concluded with the British East India Company's victory and the death of Tipu Sultan, effectively ending the independent kingdom of Mysore. This war, led by General Lord Wellesley, resulted in the dismantling of Mysore and its incorporation into the British Indian Empire. Third point, Second Anglo-Maratha War, 1803 to 1805. The Second Anglo-Maratha War from 1803 to 1805 was a large conflict within the Maratha Confederacy involving the British East India Company. It resulted in major loss of territory for the Marathas, including regions around Delhi and in present-day Gujarat, falling into direct company rule. So the fourth point is establishment of Madras Presidency. Lord Wellesley, the Governor General of India from 1798 to 1805, played a crucial role in the establishment of Madras Presidency. So who established Madras Presidency? It was who founded the Madras Presidency? Lord Wellesley. Okay. So I repeat once again. Lord Wellesley, the Governor General of India from 1798 to 1805, played a crucial role in the establishment of the Madras Presidency, a key administrative division of British India during his tenure. Now, Censorship Act 1799. The Censorship of the Press Act of 1799, enacted by Lord Wellesley, aimed to control the Indian press by imposing free censorship and requiring newspapers to clearly identify their printer, editor, and publisher, all in an effort to prevent the spread of news against the British government. Okay. Point number 6. Wellesley, he took over the administration of Tanjore in the year 1799, Surat in the year 1800, and Karnataka in the year 1801. Now, Fort William College at Calcutta in the year 1800. Fort William College, also known as College of Fort William, was an academy of Oriental studies and a center of learning, founded on 18th August 1800 by Lord Wellesley, then Governor General of British India, located within the Fort William complex in Calcutta. Wellesley started the Fort William College with the original intention that it would serve as a training ground for future European administrators. Now, Raj Bhavan at Kolkata was established in the year 1803. The present Raj Bhavan at Kolkata, which is the official residence of the Governor of West Bengal, was built in 1803. It was known as Government House during the East India Company rule in India. Then there was a short tenure of Charles Cornwallis, first Marcos Cornwallis, 30th July 1805 to 5th October 1805. Then after that, we saw the administration of George Barlow. George Barlow, first Baronet, acting 10th October 1805 to 31st July 1807. Now, major reforms and events under George Barlow. First one, this is asked in the examination, very important point. Sepoy mutiny at Vellore. This is the prelude to the Indian Rebellion of 1857. The Vellore Mutiny or Vellore Revolution occurred on 10th July 1806 and was the first instance of a large-scale and violent mutiny by Indian sepoys against the East India Company, predating the Indian Rebellion of 1857 by half a century. The revolt, which took place in the Indian city of Vellore, lasted one full day, during which mutineers seized the Vellore fort and killed or wounded 200 British troops. The mutiny was subdued by cavalry and artillery from our court. Total deaths amongst the mutineers were approximately 350, with summary executions of about 100 during the suppression of the outbreak, followed by the formal court-martial of smaller numbers. Now, Bank of Calcutta was established in the year 1806. Later, it is called Imperial Bank of India, now State Bank of India. The Bank of Calcutta, a precursor to the present State Bank of India, was founded on 2nd June 1806, mainly to fund General Arthur Wellesley wars against Tipu Sultan and the Marathas. It was the 10th oldest bank in India and was renamed Bank of Bengal on 2nd January 1809. Now, we learn about Lord Minto. Lord Minto I, 31st July 1807 to 4th October 1813. First one we know about Treaty of Amritsar 1809 with Ranjit Singh. Now, Treaty of Amritsar, I will hold this class in School of Science and elaborately we'll discuss about Treaty of Amritsar. Now, second point about Lord Minto I was Treaty of Eternal Friendship 1809 with Talpur rulers of Sindh. The Treaty of Eternal Friendship in 1809 was a diplomatic agreement between the British East India Company and the Amirs of Sindh, a group of Talpur rulers. Now, the Talpur rulers were primarily located in Sindh, which is now a province in Pakistan. The treaty established peaceful relations and trade between the British and the Amirs. The Amirs of Sindh controlled the region that is now Pakistan's Sindh province. Now, Charter Act of 1813. We'll discuss about Charter Act of 1813 in our classroom lectures in School of Science. Now, let's study about Lord Hastings. He became the Governor General of Bengal on 4th October 1813 and he was there up to 9th January 1823, almost 10 years. Now, major reforms and events under Lord Hastings. First one is Anglo-Nepal War 1814 to 1816 and the Treaty of Saugoli 1816. The Anglo-Nepalese War, 1st November 1814 to 4th March 1816, also known as Gorkha War, was fought between the Gorkhali army of the Kingdom of Nepal and the forces of the British East India Company, EIC. Both sides had ambitious expansion plans for the mountainous north of the Indian subcontinent. The war ended with a British victory and the signing of the Treaty of Saugoli in 1816. The Treaty of Saugoli that established the boundary line of Nepal was signed on 4th March 1816 between the East India Company and Guru Gadraj Mishra following the Anglo-Nepalese War of 1814 to 1816. Now, Third Anglo-Maratha War, 1817 to 1819, and the abolition of Peshwaship. The Third Anglo-Maratha War, 1817 to 1819, was the final and decisive conflict between the British East India Company and the Maratha Confederacy in India. Now, fourth important point under Lord Hastings is a very important one from examination point of view. Hindu College, now Presidency University at Calcutta, was established in the year 1817. Presidency University, formerly Presidency College, is a public state university located in College Street, Kolkata. Established in 1817 as the Hindu College, it was later renamed Presidency College in 1855 and functioned as a leading constituent college under the University of Calcutta. It is widely regarded as one of the oldest and most prestigious places of higher education in India. Now the Pindari War, 1817 to 1818, complete destruction of the Pindari clan of India. The Pindaris were irregular military plunderers who accompanied initially the Mughal army and later the Maratha army, and finally on their own before being eliminated in the year 1817 to 1819. That is called Pindari War. Now, sixth point is subversion of Peshwa Bajirao II and annexation of his territories to the Bombay Presidency in the year 1818. Bajirao II was the 13th and the last Peshwa of the Maratha Confederacy. He governed from 1795 to 1818. He was installed as a puppet ruler by the Maratha nobles, whose growing power prompted him to flee his capital, Pune, and sign the Treaty of Bazar in the year 1802 with the British. This resulted in the Second Anglo-Maratha War, 1803 to 1805, in which the British emerged victorious and reinstalled him as the titular Peshwa. In 1817, Bajirao II joined the Third Anglo-Maratha War against the British after they favored the Gaikwad nobles in a revenue-sharing dispute. After suffering several battle defeats, the Peshwa surrendered to the British and agreed to retire in return for an estate at Bithur. Now, Bithur is a town now located in Uttar Pradesh and an annual pension. The seventh point and the eighth point, very important, we study about Rayatwari system and Mahalwari system. Now, what is this Rayatwari system and Mahalwari system? Listen to me and see this on your screen. Establishment of Rayatwari system in Madras Presidency in the year 1820 by the Governor Thomas Munro and Bombay. The Rayatwari system introduced in the Madras Presidency in 1820 by Governor Thomas Munro was a land revenue system. What is Rayatwari system? It is a land revenue system. Now, those of you who are appearing this examination on 18th of May, that is election inspector and revenue inspector, these two concepts are very, very important. One is the Rayatwari system and the Mahalwari system. I repeat once again, the Rayatwari system introduced in the Madras Presidency in 1820 by Governor Thomas Munro was a land revenue system where the government directly collected taxes from individual cultivators or ryots were recognized as the landowners. This system replaced the zamindari system, which had middlemen collecting revenue on behalf of the government. Now, direct collection. The government directly collected taxes from ryots, eliminating the need for intermediaries like the zamindars. Now, second one we study about the Mahalwari system, which was prevalent in northwestern provinces and Bombay. The Mahalwari system introduced in northwestern provinces and other areas was a land revenue system where villages were treated as units for revenue collection. It was a combination of zamindari and rajwari systems, with a village headman responsible for collecting revenue on behalf of the entire village. This system aimed to create a more equitable and efficient revenue collection process compared to the zamindari system, which focused on individual landlords. Now, Bengal Tenancy Act was passed in 1822. In 1822, Lord Hastings passed the Bengal Tenancy Act, under which the cultivators had the hereditary right of possession of the land till they paid the rent. General Committee of Public Instruction was also formed in the year 1823. Now, the 10th point, General Committee of Public Instruction was formed in the year 1823, which says that the General Committee of Public Instruction, GCPI, was formed in 1823 by the Governor General in Council to oversee the implementation of the Charter Act of 1813, educational provisions. Now, last one we study about John Amherst. But before John Amherst, Lord Amherst became the Governor General of Bengal, there was one person who worked as Governor General of Bengal, and he was acting Governor General of Bengal. He is John Adam. He became the acting Governor General of Bengal on 9th January 1823, and he continued up to 1st August 1823. But now Lord Amherst was the 8th Governor General of Bengal. And what are the events and reforms that took place when Lord Amherst was the Governor General of Bengal? Let's see. The first point is Barrackpore Mutiny in 1824. Barrackpore Mutiny of 1824. The Barrackpore Mutiny of 1824 was a significant incident during the First Anglo-Burmese War, 1824 to 1826, where sepoys of the 47th Bengal Native Infantry refused to board ships to travel by sea, citing social taboo and other grievances. Led by Sepoy Bindi Tiwari, the mutiny was brutally suppressed by British artillery, leading to the deaths of many soldiers. The event is considered a precursor to the Indian Mutiny of 1857, highlighting growing resentment among Indian troops against the British commanders. Cause: the 47th Bengal Native Infantry was ordered to march to Chittagong by land and board ships bound for Rangoon. Many sepoys, particularly high caste Hindus, considered sea travel a taboo known as Kala Pani. Now, establishment of Sanskrit College at Kolkata in the year 1824. This is also very significant. The Sanskrit College in Kolkata was established on 1st January 1824. It was founded by John Pascal Larkins Esquire on the recommendation of H.P. James Prinsep and Thomas Babington Macaulay, with the support of H.H. Wilson, the secretary to the British government. The college was intended to teach ancient literature, philosophy, Hindu law, grammar, and Indian culture, and to promote the learning of Sanskrit among both British officials and Indians. Now, the first Anglo-Burmese War and the Treaty of Yandabu. This has come and will be coming repeatedly in your examination. The first Anglo-Burmese War and the Treaty of Yandabu. East India Company defeated Burmese king Bagido and annexes Assam, Manipur, Arakan, and Tinasarim. Tinasarim is a narrow coastal region of southeastern Myanmar. The first Anglo-Burmese War that took place in the year 1824 to 1826 was a conflict between the British East India Company and the Burmese Empire, primarily over control of northeastern India. It stemmed from Burmese expansion into Assam and other regions, leading to conflicts with British forces. The war culminated in a British victory and signing of the Treaty Yandabu, which resulted in British annexation of Arakan, Manipur, and Tenasserim. And where is Tenasserim? It is a narrow coastal region of southeastern Myanmar and causes. The war was triggered by Burmese expansion into British-controlled territories like Assam and Arakan, leading to clashes and ultimately a declaration of war by the British. Conflict. The war involved military engagements in areas like Rangoon and the advance towards Ava, the Burmese capital, by British forces. And what was the outcome? The war ended with a British victory and the Treaty of Yandabu, and it was signed in February 1826. The Treaty of Yandabu signed on 24th February 1826 ended the first Anglo-Burmese War. It was a peace treaty between the East India Company and the King of Ava, that is Burma. The treaty resulted in significant territorial concessions from Burma to the British, including Assam, Manipur, Arakan, and Taninthai. And the territorial changes. As a result of the treaty, British India gained control of Arakan, Manipur, and Tenasserim, that is narrow coastal region of southeastern Myanmar, significantly expanding British influence in the region, that is northeast. Now thereafter, William Butterworth Bailey was acting Governor General of Bengal from 13th March 1828 to 4th July 1828. And after Governor General of Bengal, next day we'll be studying about Governor Generals of India. And there were 6 Governor Generals of India. They were Lord William Bentinck from 1828 to 1835, Lord Charles Metcalfe from 1835 to 1836, Lord Auckland from 1836 to 1842, Lord Ellenborough from 1842 to 1844, Lord Hardinge I from 1844 to 1848, and Lord Dalhousie from 1848 to 1856. So dear students, in your next class, we'll be studying Governor Generals of India from William Bentinck to Lord Dalhousie. Okay.